Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Malthaus Games podcast. My name is Delton. I'll be your host today, and with me, as usual, is my lovely wife and yellow player, Haley.
And my Marge.
And Margie being very needy to us today.
We were gone to Portland, America for 5 days, and so all of the pets are just being clingy little babies, and I don't blame them because I'm also kind of being clingy little babies to them.
They have been so needy in every single possible way you can think of.
We woke up this morning and the cats had opened up like 3 or 4 of our drawers in our bedroom and just pulled all the clothes out, begging for attention. And
Steve was under the covers at one point beside me, just staring at me.
And then about 2.5 minutes before we started this podcast, somebody just ran up against the door and went, "Rah!"
He slammed into it.
Like body slammed. Was it Steven, you think?
You know it was.
Yeah, they've been a little needy. They all had to go to kitty and puppy jail today because I had to record a presentation. I'm presenting for an organization called Zero, which is put on by the Oklahoma Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, and I'm talking about COVID grief. And I had to record that today, and so the babies had to go in kitty jail. And sure enough, halfway in the presentation, I hear, meow. You know, I'm 2 rooms over, and they hear it, and I go, "I'm so sorry." They go, "It's fine. It didn't deter from the audio that much." Just meow. As if he hadn't got about 85 minutes of cuddles all morning.
We need to find a way to, we should lock them in our toilet shower area all the way back in the other corner of the house.
Well, then they're going to stand in the shower going, meow.
Yeah, but if you put them in there and shut the curtain and then shut the door, not shut the curtain, shut the little doors and then shut the bedroom door, it's multiple layers they have to get through before that sound travels that far. Hopefully that would help.
I don't know, man. Steve's a pretty noisy boy.
He's very noisy and it's annoying, especially when you're trying to take a nap. So.
Yes. Well, I'm sure you heard Delton just cracked the beer that we got from Portland. So, Delty, tell us about this here beer.
This is a beer that we picked up our first day in Portland, Oregon, which, by the way, we were visiting our friends Nick and Jennifer. Jennifer is a supporter of the podcast on Patreon. So thank you so much, Jennifer, for not only having us to Oregon to your wonderful home with your wonderful doggo, Jasper. But also thank you for supporting us on Patreon. Jennifer is not the only one who supports us on Patreon at a level in which she gets shout outs on the podcast. It's also Allison, Alan, Jesse, Catherine, and Cliff. Thank you all for supporting us. And if you want to be like them, head to malthausgames.com to find our Patreon link, or you can go directly to patreon.com/malthausgames. But yes, this beer we picked up the first day after visiting the Rose Gardens for a short time. We went to Von Ebert Brewing Company, which is one of the top-rated breweries there in Portland, Oregon. And we picked up their Sector 7 Hazy IPA, India Pale Ale. This comes in at 7% alcohol by volume. There's no other flavor indicators or anything on the can.
Yeah, so before we drink this beer, just want to say thank you so much to Jen and Nick for opening your home to us.
Definitely. It was an amazing time. We had so much fun hiking and seeing nature and then playing games and playing with Jasper and having fun and eating food and all the good stuff that we could do.
We got to recreate one of our honeymoon pictures by going to Haystack Rock.
We did.
We got to eat. Okay, so Portland, Oklahoma has invasive species that are stickers. Stickers get caught in your pants. They get caught in your shoes.
Yep.
They hurt. They hurt like a son of a buck. You go to Portland, and they have really thorny bushes that just so happen to produce blackberries. Blackberries aren't invasive species. You're just walking down the street or you're walking in the forest, and there are blackberries that you can eat.
We went on a hike on Salvie Island, and one of the trails there, it's just coated in blackberry bushes. So the whole time we're just picking and eating blackberries as we walk. And I don't know, we ate a lot of blackberries.
We ate a lot of blackberries.
My favorite ones are still the tart ones. I know Nick likes the sweet ones, but the tart ones, that's where it's at.
You're a Sour Patch Kid.
I am. But yes, this beer came there from our first day. We saved, I guess, just the one. Because we swapped one with Mark for one of his beers.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Mark and Sarah. So nice to meet you.
It was just a great time in Oregon. This beer's really good. It's hazy. It's a nice golden yellow color. You get a little citrus and kind of a floral element in the scent. It smells very good. It's got a nice carbonation, not overly so that it has a bite, but it's not undercarbed either. But it's still nice and smooth and pillowy soft.
and the taste reminds me of a lemon head. Remember lemon heads?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know it's an IPA, but it really, like you said, it has a pillowy, soft, smooth taste.
Yep.
So, like, take a lemon head, make it into a beer, and this is what it tastes like.
I wouldn't quite go that far. Lemonheads to me always were kind of sour.
Oh, it tastes really sweet to me.
And I don't really get that here, but
Oh,
maybe I'm just misremembering, or maybe I had a sour Lemonhead.
maybe so.
But it's very good. It's nice and gentle. It's super soft. It's light. It's not overly hoppy because, 7% and all. It's really good, though. I really like this beer. I think it's pretty solid. The other stuff we had, I think we tried a couple others from Von Ebert. I don't remember.
We did, but that was the first day, and we did a lot of stuff after
And
that.
and we had many different beers since then. But yeah, it was very good. It was a neat little place. We ate outside. The food was good, and this beer's really solid.
I know we have a game of the episode today, but I want to talk about one of the games we played at Nick and Jen's.
Is it Don't Get Got?
Yes, it is.
I thought so.
So, and Don't Get Got. So when we first got there, Nick pulled out a little box, and he said, "This is your wallet." And I was like, "What the hell?" Okay. And so we were each given a wallet, and in that wallet contained 6 cards that only we knew what they were. And so with the 6 cards, it could be things like make someone say "I love you." One of mine was get someone to look at an object 3 times. There was I got Delton to argue with me about which direction was north. Pretty proud of that one. But you have 6 of the cards. The rule is you have to complete 3 of them without getting caught. And so if somebody calls you out in the process, like, "Oh, you're trying to do the thing," then you don't win. And so, yeah, my favorite one was the very first night we were there. We're all sitting around the table, and I knew that I was going to get Delton with this one because Delton always tries to orient himself north, south, east, west, and he always comments on it. And so every time we're in a new city, that's what he does first. I was like, okay, I know this opportunity is going to come up. I know it is. And sure enough, we're sitting down to play the first game, and he's orienting the board, and he goes, "I think this way's north." "Which way's north?" He said, "I think this way's north." And Nick goes, "Yeah, that way's north." And I was like, "My opportunity." And I said, "No, I think it's that way." And Noah says, "No, I think it's this way."
Yeah, because the sun sets over here in the west, so that means that's north. And then Nick says, "I just said north was that way." He lives there.
And I was like, "Well, I'm not really sure. I'm fairly certain it's this way." And Delton just keeps saying, "No, it's this way." And so I pulled the card out of my pocket and I said, "Does this count?" And everyone lost their marbles because I got Delton to argue with me about which way's north.
The thing is, you didn't even get me to do it. I just brought it up because it was like, of course we do that everywhere we go, and you do it too.
You commented on it, then I engaged you in an argument.
Yes, I know. You were like, "No, it's that way," and Nick was like, "No, it's that way," and I was like, "Yeah, see, it's that way," and you're like, "I don't think so," and then we argued, and Nick was like, "What's happening right now?" Dumb. But yes, that's from Big Potato Games. Very fun kind of meta game thing to break out at a party. Everyone's got a wallet of 6 different things. The first to get 3, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Wins the game. And so Jennifer won immediately.
She did.
And then Haley came in a close-ish second.
Yeah, I got 3, but all 3 were against Delton, so I made myself a challenge to get 1 more. And I freaking wore a Band-Aid for 3 full days, and nobody commented on it because nobody cares about my health and well-being.
Nope, didn't care.
That was one of mine. Wear a Band-Aid and have somebody comment on it unprompted. And I just kept positioning my arm where you could see it, put it in the same spot each time. I thought about putting it on my forehead, but I thought that would be too obvious.
I mean, maybe.
Maybe I should have done that.
Yeah.
Just kidding. They care about my health and well-being.
Not enough.
Not enough.
I don't care enough.
Not enough. But yeah, it was really, really fun. And so we brought back this beer, and we brought back some great memories, and we brought back some sand in our socks, and it was all around good time.
There's sand in my suitcase. I need to blow it out or something.
And so what else we do over the last couple of weeks, anyone?
Well, aside from having a great time in Portland, playing games and having fun with friends and seeing nature and hiking and getting my feet tired, things like that, one of the big things we got to do recently is play an early, or I guess a digital version, or not digital version. Essentially, we got to play an upcoming Kickstarter. Oh, here's the door. It's straight ahead. It's a game. So the game for today is a game that is not yet on Kickstarter. And one of the rules I kind of do on the podcast, I've talked about this before, is I prefer not to do Kickstarters that don't hit distribution, which means nobody can get their hands on them once the Kickstarter's over. I make exceptions to that depending upon the game. I did for PAX Pamir because There was a second printing, and there's been now a third printing with the John Company Kickstarter, and it's starting to pop up here and there, but they keep reprinting it. So there's been opportunities to get it. I've done a few things like that. This one is a local designer and design company here out of Oklahoma. We have one of their other games, Churrascaria, which is modeled after, now am I correct in that it's a Brazilian
Yes.
steakhouse?
Yes. So basically, the theme of Churrascaria is you want to eat the most meat.
Yeah.
You also don't want to eat salad.
You don't want vegetables.
You don't want vegetables, and you don't want to throw up, or else you lose your points.
Unless you can throw up your vegetables.
Unless you can throw up your vegetables,
Then
and that's a good thing.
It's a very cutthroat game of gluttony, is what it says on the box.
Absolutely, it is.
And it is, and it's a fun one for sure, especially with a group of like 5-6 people.
Yeah. And David is the one that we tag team and did the presentation together at TokenCon
Yes,
a couple
exactly.
years ago.
And so this is a new game that their company, Absurdist Productions, is putting out on Kickstarter. Coming up on September 28th is the launch. You can right now sign up to be notified of its launch on Kickstarter. So on social media, Twitter, Facebook, anything like that, you can look up Absurdist Productions. Usually it's Absurdist Prod is the way I think it is on Twitter. But this is a game called PaleoVet. It is designed by Will Thompson, developed by David Thomas, graphic design by Bridget Indelicato, who was the illustrator and designer in War Chest, if that name sounds familiar. And then the illustrations are by Susanna Randakova, who is from Slovakia. She is a science librarian that illustrates children's books.
And it is reflected in this artwork.
Yes, these are color pencil, amazing drawings of dinosaurs that look like the 80s, early 90s kids' dinosaur books. And it's fantastic with all the graphic design and everything. It just looks so good. The game, now I am going to state this, everything can change. Since the game is not produced and in our hands, anything we talk about can be morphed and tweaked and everything like that. Like we played essentially a final version. However, things can always change. So I just want to make that statement.
We hope they don't, though, because it was an amazing game.
It was a very good game. We're going to throw that out there right off the bat. So it launches in September, I believe September 28th. The estimated Kickstarter price right now, I think they said was solidified, is $39 for a copy of the game. They originally said 30 to 60 minutes, but they're saying more 30 to 45 or about 10 minutes a player, which I think is very accurate. The four of us played on Tabletop Simulator through Steam, and Haley and I were both brand new, and then it was the designer, Will, and the developer, David, who were the other two players, and I think it took us, with teaching and talking and discussing, I think it took us 40, 45 minutes.
And that was with me navigating that online
Tabletop sim.
Yeah.
You are very bad at tabletop, which
I am
honestly
so bad.
It's clunky, so it's understandable to be bad.
I could not flip my card.
I know it.
I tried.
So for the Kickstarter, I'm going to go ahead and get this kind of stuff out of the way. For the Kickstarter, it's going to be a copy of the game, things like that. Sometimes you can get multiple copies. You'll probably be able to get a copy of this and Churrascaria, their other game. I'm just making an assumption there. They are planning stretch goals depending on how the game does, but the stretch goals are not going to add content or expansions to the game. However, they will be adding things like Spot UV on the cover, a custom insert, add-ons like acrylic tokens and things of that sort. So really the kind of add-ons that I personally like to see that aren't trying to throw new things in the game. They're just trying to up the value or up the premium nature of the game, because that's always fun. The official little tagline for the game is, you are paleo veterinarians competing to save as many dinos as possible from modern illness and injuries. Roll dice, upgrade your hospital, and compete with fellow paleo veterinarians, I almost said pello, to treat injured and sick dinosaurs.
Pillow vegetarians.
Yes. As long as the dinosaurs don't wake up during treatment, nothing can go wrong. ...
Because that's the fun part. So as you're treating these little dinosaurs, you have to tranquilize them to make sure they actually stay awake throughout the procedure.
Awake?
Or stay asleep throughout the procedure. You do not want them awake. The thing is, if they wake up before they are fully healed, if they are a carnivore, they will run off and they will eat one of their bed mates as they run.
Yes, there are 3 different types of dinosaurs in the game. There are ornithischians, I'm probably saying that wrong, theropods and sauropods, and there are 2, diet types, which is carnivore and herbivore. And I think, did they say there was 1 omnivore?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. I would have to look through everything. But essentially the carnivores, like Haley said, if they wake up and try to run away from your hospital, they will take a snack on their way out, eating one of your other dinosaurs. So that's very bad. The way the game is going to play is it is a set collection game. You will have 5 piles of 10 cards in the middle of the table. So there are 50 different cards. And I believe that is an exact accurate. Yes, 5 piles of 10 dinos in the middle of the table. Anytime one of those stacks is empty, the round will finish and the game will be over at that point. What happens on your turn is you are going to make sure to remove any sleep tokens from your dinosaurs. So the different dinosaurs, when they're tranquilized and brought to your veterinary clinic, they will have amount of sleep tokens. That's how long your tranquilizer is going to last on them. Once they run out of those, at the end of your turn that they run out, they will run away. And that's going to be either they eat stuff if they're carnivore, or if they're not, you're going to be losing out on potential points. Once you do that and kind of refresh the upkeep so you're able to go, you roll all of your dice. And then if you have less than 4 dinosaurs, you'll put one into your veterinary clinic, which I love that idea of automatically getting a dinosaur, because I would hate to be the person who doesn't roll a tranquilizer and has just a bum turn. So I do think that that's a very good mechanic to add in, and it keeps things interesting. You then spend your dice and tokens, whether it's tranquilizing dinosaurs to bring them in, treating a dinosaur based on the symbols you roll, or if you're buying upgrade dice, upgrades for your veterinary clinic, or DNA tokens, which are wild. And then after that, you're going to check on your dinosaurs, make sure awake ones run away, and if they're all asleep, you're fine. And then if you've cured any dinosaurs with your dice or wild tokens, you'll put them in your point pile.
And I love the game because you can just play it like that. Like David said that they designed the game where, a group of 10-year-olds can play and enjoy it, or their parents can sit around and play it.
I have the exact quote. "This is a game we have designed for everyone. It will play well regardless of age range, with plenty of depth for adults and simple play for kids."
And so you can stop with those rules right there, where you're drawing cards, you're laying your dinosaurs out, you're treating them, you're rolling the dice, so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can take it up a notch and use these special abilities, basically specialize your hospital.
It's very neat because if you play with, let's say, I'm going to look at the little list here, the ornithischians, which I think I had more of. A lot of the dinosaurs, when you get one type, ornithischian or sauropod, they usually give you a bonus, some of them do, for curing more of that type. Or if you upgrade your veterinary clinic for having different types of dinosaurs, for every 2 ornithischians you have, you get an extra point. Or for every 2 theropods you have, you get an extra point, things like that. So you can play with the cards that, this one does this and this one does that, and this one says that it's easier to heal dinosaurs with broken bones. So you're like, oh, I don't want to heal that dinosaur yet. I want to keep it here asleep as long as possible so I can have, bonus points to heal dinosaurs that have broken bones.
Which does not sound medically ethical, but
They're dinosaurs. They weren't ethical to be brought back in to begin with, right?
Same could be said about French bulldogs.
Okay, yeah. Womp womp.
This just took a turn for the dark.
It really did. One of the things I do like in the game is there's 27 different dinos, but you will always have all 50 dinosaur cards in the play field. So depending on how the game goes, there is potential to see every card every game. But it's unlikely that's going to happen, but you will see a lot of the same cards, but you won't always see them all. Like, we didn't see the real big carnivore dinosaur. I can't think of what it's called, like the Giganosaurus Rex kind of thing, right? Like a gigantic T-Rex.
The
Can't
big
think
ass
of his
T-Rex.
name. Yeah, the biggest one. I don't think that one came out in our game.
The big ass T-Rex.
Oh, that's the name, big ass T-Rex?
Yes.
I mean, just about. But I do like that you see a lot of the same, like every time you play the game, you can kind of expect to know, okay, I have a chance of this strategy working out based on what I'm seeing. And I do enjoy that because that means you can get better at the game and learn the strategies of the game every time you play it. It's not so random with dicing too many cards to where you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, hee hee, versus the way it is to me. Seems to be one where you can learn the little combos with different cards and things like that, which is always something that's fun in games. The dice look like they're going to be really nice. I have not felt the physical dice they're going with. I think they're going with like a screen printed die. Can't say 100%, but the dice are pretty interesting. Essentially, when you heal dinosaurs, you can heal with antibiotics, which is like a pill, antiviral, like a little vial of medicine, surgery, which looks like broken bone being mended, and then there's also the DNA symbol. So you'll use those on all the dinosaurs, and then there's specialty dice you can buy. If you roll 3 of a kind, you can spin that 3 of a kind to buy a specialty dice, which either has a higher chance of meds, higher chance of like the vial and a higher chance of the bones. So depending on your strategy, you can try to specialize your dice pool a little further that direction. And I do think that's a really neat element, and I'm excited to see how the dice turn out physically, because I feel like any game that's rolling dice, it's a satisfying thing, and when they're good dice, it's a really satisfying thing.
If they're not good dice, things could get dicey really quickly.
Yes, they can. There you go.
Yeah, I really like that you can, bust it out with your 8-10-year-old niece and nephew and play the base version. Or as adults, you can play the full version and really have a lot of strategy. It scales really well.
It does feel like it's going to scale super well. Really, what it comes down to, I think, for me, is after we got done playing, this is one of those games that hits the perfect mark of people that aren't into the hobby of gaming, like deep into it like we are going to have fun with it. People that are in the hobby of gaming are going to have fun with it. Kids and adults alike can have fun with it. Family, friends, anybody. Like it kind of hits that mark of kind of where I put stuff like Azul, right? There's little puzzly things to it. You can have awesome combo-y turns, big turns, small turns, but it's easy enough to grasp for multiple people to get in on. And it's one of those that's always fun to play, and it plays in a short play time. So I feel like they've really hit the nail on the head. I don't know. After we finished it, me and Haley both said, like, I came out of the computer room and she's like, we have to get this.
Yes.
I was like, okay, that's a solid sign for Haley to say, like, definitively, we have to get this. I know that she's really enjoyed it. So we really had a great time playing, and I'm really excited for the Kickstarter.
And totally have Christmas presents for 2022 planned out for our nieces and nephews.
Oh, that's a good idea.
We're totally getting this game for Harper and Tyler. We're totally getting this game for Lakin. Lakin's got a couple years to grow into it, but by God, she's going to be there soon.
I'm sure we can figure something out where we can buy several copies depending on how they frame it all in the Kickstarter.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that. But I'm very excited for it. I'm looking at my notes here to see if there's anything I missed in terms of, resource allocation, dice rolling, set collection. You want to have the most points.
Who got the most points this round, Delty?
So Haley won with 32.
Yeah, I did.
I came in second with 26. David came in third with 24. And the designer Will came in last with 22, which I thought was pretty funny. But Haley had a solid strategy that just really played out, and I was trying to catch up to her, but it didn't work out. Oh, there you go. I have written down 45 play minute time.
I had a specialized hospital where I treated a lot of sauropods. We're set up to treat them efficiently, and treat them well.
I will say, too, in the artwork and the flavor text, and by flavor text, I mean, like, this dinosaur has this ability. There are a lot of references, like pop culture references for dinosaurs. So, for example, the Velociraptor, or one of the raptors, its like little special on its card is Clever Girl, which you'll recognize probably from Jurassic Park. They said that there's a lot of, is it Far Side? Is the dinosaur comic? Is that what it's called? I can't remember. I've never personally read it myself. I believe it's called Far Side. I don't feel like Googling it. But David said there's a lot of that referenced in there. And they even have a reference with Littlefoot and Littlefoot's mom.
Land Before Time.
For Land Before Time. It's the only card that shows 2 dinosaurs. And he said that there is a lot more hidden references within the artwork and stuff like that. So I thought that was a really neat thing to do, but we will try to post. I mean, obviously, when I post this podcast, you'll see the ad with the images, but I will be also posting again as the Kickstarter gets closer to launching, and probably once it launches. And I just need to, get this artwork out there because it is stinking adorable and great.
Yes. So good luck to the team at Absurdist Productions on their Kickstarter. We will be kickstarting your game.
Oh, for sure. I highly recommend checking this game out when it hits. We will try to provide the link at that time.
Yeah. So we'll be backing it, and we hope you guys do too.
For sure.
Hey, what can I get you?
I'd like a topic.
Any special way?
Make it a top shelf topic.
Coming up. Enjoy. Well, that was a dice conversation.
It was a dice conversation. Should we roll on down the line and see what we land on?
Snake eyes.
There you go. Is that how it's going to go? That sounds bad. But no, for a topic today, we determined that we are going to talk about dice in games because I generally haven't, I try not to have an overall negative view on dice because dice are fun. but depending on how the game functions with dice can determine how good or bad it feels to play said game, I think. This is instantly getting heavier than the than the game part of the episode.
So, what we really wanted to talk about was different uses of dice in gaming. Because when it comes to dice, like you can have, like, I think about the games that I played whenever I was a kid. I had no autonomy in these games. You're playing things like Clue, where you just roll the dice and move. You roll the dice and move. Maybe you can choose what room you go into, but you roll the dice and move. There's like zero decision making or autonomy. You're just kind of rolling the dice and moving. Same thing with Yahtzee. Aside from like pressing your luck, there's really no strategy to it. You're just at the mercy of the dice gods as you play. And for Delton, I remember early in our relationship when we were talking about gaming, he introduced me to the term Ameritrash. Ameritrash is the games where just you use dice to and your fate is sealed
Yeah.
with the roll of the dice.
Yeah.
And you've kind of talked about that before. It's kind of that loss of agency, feeling like you have no control, feeling like you just kind of set up to lose. Like that's not fun for you.
No.
Even if the dice could be in your favor, it just kind of takes the fun away.
It definitely can.
Whenever dice is like the main way to play. However, dice don't have to be that way. There's another way.
Yeah.
Just like your job doesn't have to make you miserable, neither do your dice.
Exactly. That was one thing we talked about with PaleoVet that we just talked about in the game part of the episode. Is me and Haley were discussing on our own before this episode, like, what topic do we want to do for this? Like, we've talked about theme a lot lately. We want to kind of lighten the topic a bit. This is about dinosaurs that are cute and you're rolling dice to heal them. And I thought, we haven't really talked about, and this was Haley said, we haven't done dice. What about dice? And I looked and I was like, we really haven't done a topic really about dice.
He Control F'd and did not find any mention of dice.
I literally Control F on my spreadsheet that keeps track of every game, every topic, every question, and every beer. And there are no dice mentioned at all.
And this is episode 99, so you've been putting this off for a while. You must really hate dice.
It's not that I hate them. It's just, to me, it's a hard topic to talk about because you roll dice and that's it, right? There's other stuff to it, but I feel like it is one that's probably just overdue in the today's game world. In PaleoVet, what I liked about it was if you roll 2 dice of the same kind, you can spend them on a DNA token, which is a wild that you can use to fulfill where normally a dice would fulfill. You can also spend 2 of them to get an upgrade for your veterinary clinic. Or you can spend 3 of a kind if you roll them to get a specialty dice to expand your dice pool and go from there.
And there's different abilities that you can have that allow you to change the dice. And so you have a little more agency over your roll.
You really do. And so that, after talking about it and talking about that, I thought, well, that game doesn't feel bad. Part of it, I think, is because when I said the rule where if you have less than 4 dinosaurs, you have to bring one into your veterinary clinic automatically. That means if you don't roll a tranquilizer, you're not being punished. And I like that because I think that's the thing with dice is dice can feel punishing. If you roll dice and you just whiff and that's it, sorry, it sucks to be you, that doesn't feel good to play. It might feel good when you're winning. You know what I mean? If you're rolling great, you're like, oh, look at me, I'm on fire. I mean, that's kind of the thing with like craps, right? Craps is a dice game. There's that energy, that gambling feeling that like, we're going to get it. We're going to try again. It's so easy to push your luck with literally any game that involves dice, especially if it has rerolls. And it's something that it can feel very punishing and kind of down on you depending on how the game presents it. But not every game just uses dice to roll. I mean, we obviously have Yahtzee, things like Yam Master, where you're rolling dice, re-rolling some dice, and probably re-rolling some more dice. I mean, you got stuff like Farkle and Nico. You're rolling dice and doing math, that kind of stuff. But the dice roll is essentially the whole point of that game. It's, but they have games that start to break out from just roll the dice and see what the values are.
Things like Escape. Escape is just you're rolling dice, seeing what the values are, but you're able to re-roll and re-roll, 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 re-roll.
Mm-hmm.
You still have things that you can do. You still have strategy. You can share the dice with others. You can keep some dice. You can press your luck and try to not get locked in the chamber for all of eternity.
That one adding that real-time element to Escape where you're trying to accomplish a goal by rolling dice. And yeah, if you get stuck, you got to have someone come help you and roll their dice to get you out. And the thing there is that theme and the real-time element of go, 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 we're running out of time. There's something that just works in that game that I love so much. But one of the early versions of a game, and now I don't know exactly when it came out, but Liar's Dice. That's one of the first games that I feel like breaks through the, normal dice rolling being hindered by it because you're not just rolling dice to see. You're rolling dice, you're thinking of probabilities, and you're betting. And it starts to break the mold. And I feel like that's the direction that other games started to have to look, right? Because you can have, I'm trying to look at games and see, like, what games do we have that roll dice to accomplish things? Now, there's a lot that roll dice and utilize those dice, but are there any that roll dice, Yahtzee style that we play?
Like King of Tokyo.
I guess King of Tokyo would be probably the closest one. Roll dice, try to get points. Roll dice, try to get little lightning bolt thingies. Roll dice to try to knock out the opponent from inside Tokyo. That kind of thing. That is probably the closest to a Yahtzee style game we have, aside from Yam Master, which is just Yahtzee with some stuff on the board. It's weird.
Best $5 game I ever got.
$5 about what it's worth for me, personally. But then you start to break out a little bit in terms of the way dice are utilized. So one of the games that comes to mind that's possibly one of the most highly rated greatest games of all time is Castles of Burgundy. And Castles of Burgundy uses dice. That dice determines on where you can place different things, but you can modify it with tokens that you've gotten in the game.
And you can also choose where you place that modified dice. Like it qualifies for a certain area, but you can choose what spot within that area. So there's still some agency or still some control over your movements there.
And I do think it's nice in a game like that where you do have a random element of, well, what number am I rolling and how can I utilize this best? But there's ways to mitigate it. And that tends to be that's the key word, right? For a game that uses dice in a way in which I like is, can you mitigate bad rolls?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same way if you play a card game. Is there a way to mitigate bad draws? It's, that's mitigating bad luck or bad chance, however you want to look at it. That is kind of the key for me for making it something super fun.
Not necessarily control, but just like having a little bit of sway.
I just want to push them. I want to nudge them. I want to topple that dice over where it's no longer a 3, but it's a 5, right? Like that's the kind of thing that I want to do. Wait, that wouldn't be right. No, yeah, it would. 3 into a 5. I had to think about how a dice is made out and be like, is that a feasible thing that can happen?
And so for me, see, you lean more towards the no dice spectrum.
Yeah.
I lean more towards the dice spectrum because I like that little bit of randomness. Whenever we play a lot of Euros, whenever we play a lot of resource management, it's not uncommon for me to sit there when it's not my turn and plan like 3, 4, 5 turns ahead.
Yeah.
That's a lot to kind of keep track of. But with the games that use randomness like dice, even if it's just, I don't know what resources I'm going to have, it kind of helps me to stay more present in the gameplay too, because I can't think 3 or 4 times ahead. I can have some ideas, but ultimately I don't know what my turn's going to look like until I roll that dice. And so it kind of forces you to think on the spot.
I could see that. And there are games, though, that I guess that's true. It depends on that dice spectrum. It depends on the dice spectrum a lot, because if you go more towards my side of the dice spectrum, you get games like Coimbra, where you roll a dice and it sits in a thing and it determines kind of like where you can play it. Or you've got, Castles of Burgundy, or I'm trying to think of, I had a game in my mind just now and it just went, and like flew away and fizzled out of my brain. Because I didn't get to nap because Steve woke me up, so, the usual.
I wish I knew what direction you were going, but there's Star Wars. Star Wars has dice.
Star Wars Destiny does have dice. Those are okay. I'm not a huge fan of the way that the dice are used there. It's neat to use dice. They're hard to mitigate.
Yeah.
And again, that comes down to the issue for me. But one of the games that uses dice really well is, and in a completely different method, is I'm going to point out 2, Sagrada and Noctilica. Sagrada uses them as a puzzle element, right? You roll them and now you have to make these work in some way, but you have a way that you can approach it that helps you maximize the potential for error, right?
Yeah.
Or not potential for error, help you maximize your potential to use bad rolls.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that about it. That kind of takes the dice rolling and says, you're going to roll these dice and you're going to have to use at least 2 of them for the most part, right? You're going to have to use these 2. How can you place stuff on your board to maximize usability of random dice rolls?
Yeah. So I guess that's another thing. Dice can be used as different functions. In Sagrada, they're more like game pieces. Like, this is the resources I have this turn. Whereas in things like this one, it's also
PaleoVet?
PaleoVet. It's also resources. But then you have other ones where dice, they determine where you can move or what actions you can take. And so dice, it's not just rolling to see, oh, I get to move 4 paces to the north.
Yep.
It's, what resources do I have? Where can I go? oh, this looks pretty. I like this.
Exactly. I mean, games like Noctilica is kind of like Sagrada, where it's those dice are essentially pieces on the board, but in Noctilica, you're trying to find, long strings of a certain number and pick those up and the colors you can use. And it uses dice as an easy way to randomize something without having an excess of like tokens or something on the board. There's a lot of dice in that game though. So that's definitely a thing. And so dice can be used differently. Now, one of the ways dice is used, or I should say two of the ways, are a lot of combat and war games tend to utilize dice to simulate the randomness or I don't want to say randomness, the unreliability of some sorts of the different types of combat, right? Just because you're playing soldiers on a board, it doesn't mean every single shot hits. And that's just kind of a fact of, a sad fact of warfare. Not a sad fact, maybe happy. I don't know. Kind of a heavy topic there for a second, but that it simulates it well, right? Not everything is going to be a hit. Kind of like Battleship. You're not always going to be on the mark.
Or like whenever you're playing King of Tokyo, just because you're
Yeah.
wearing a giant robotic bunny suit, it doesn't mean you're going to completely destroy your opponent the first time you hit.
Exactly. And so those games tend to use them. There's ones like Memoir 44 that do something a little different, and the dice are not just like a 1 through 6 and add a number or do this, but it uses it like most games that have like a, kind of combat utilize a dice system in some manner for the most part. And obviously it's not always. But then you have stuff like role-playing games, where nearly all role-playing games have some sort of dice rolling, and part of that is it's fun for the players. You try to build your character to maximize, even if you get a bad roll, it's not completely debilitating. But I also feel like role-playing games is the weird intersection on the dice spectrum where it starts to shift for some people. People like me who like the more mitigated dice rolls, this and that, rolling dice in a game like D&D or, Talisman or the night game we're playing now, kind of Brian's homebrew, rolling dice is just fun. And even if you like whiff at something, I think the story you make because of it is a fun thing to do. So it makes it okay to have those bad rolls, but I think that's because it lends itself so much to, things
Story
don't always,
progression.
story progression. Things don't always go the right way. Where I feel like sometimes people that really love dice rolling games where you do all this stuff, I feel like, and I might be completely off base, which is fine, they might not enjoy the style of dice that you do in role playing because it's, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. I just feel like there's not as big of a crossover. If you're a really big fan of Yahtzee and King of Tokyo, you might not like the more simplistic dice rolling, but you might still at the same time.
See, I would kind of disagree with
Yeah.
there, as I think it's not necessarily a matter of taste. I think it's a matter of exposure too.
Yeah.
Because like if you're playing
That's a
like
good
me,
point.
I was playing Yahtzee and Clue until I was like 23 years old. I thought that was the way board games are. I guess 20 years old. I don't know. When I meet you?
I don't know. 18.
18 years ago.
We met at 18.
Oh, I meant like anyway. Yeah. So
12 years ago.
12 years ago. So like back in the day, like that's all I knew. And so it wasn't necessarily that I, didn't like dice manipulations. Just I didn't know it existed. I didn't know that dice manipulation existed.
Yeah.
I didn't know that dice were used for resource management because I'd never played a game like that. And like once I play, I'm like, yeah, I like those games. I prefer to, play these heavier games.
Mhm.
But, I will still go back and play Nico or Yahtzee with my family.
Of course.
And so I think that it's not necessarily a matter of taste, it's a matter of exposure. Though your taste can still be, I just like to sit around and press my luck playing dice games.
Oh, for sure. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. And I didn't think about that with exposure, that games like King of Tokyo and Yahtzee and stuff like that are going to be, they're going to be some of the first games that people coming into the hobby are going to be used to. And so that might be something that, oh, I really like this dice aspect, where people that have spent longer time in the hobby, I feel like start to push away from that. Not on a whole, but I feel like that happens more, right?
Just because you have like more games. Because when's the last
That's-
time
well-
that we played a game like more than once?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying though. Like, you play so many different games that utilize dice in so many ways, you
Mhm.
find something you prefer.
Yeah.
Where people that are newer to the hobby are gonna prefer the I'm just gonna roll a shit ton of dice, which is still a fun thing to do.
Right.
So I feel like that is part of it. Is the longer you're in the hobby, the more games you try out, you might find your specific style, but you could still obviously like those games best. I'm just trying to like on a whole based on the people I know, which isn't a large like study sample.
As I'm thinking, like, if you were to have dropped Castles of Burgundy on me whenever I was like little 18, 19, 20-year-old Haley, I've been like, I don't like this. You kind of got to work up.
Yeah, you kind of do, which is fine.
Just fine. Yeah.
But yeah, dice can be used for all sorts of different things. Anywhere from rolling a butt ton of them like Yahtzee or something like Quarriors, and working your way to where it's like you roll a single dice. Die is single. Dice is plural. Yes. You roll a single die and do something weird. Like there's this giant spectrum of dice games, and I mean they're all good. They're all fun to play. If you enjoy throwing dice, you'll find something you love.
I like how we did a whole topic on dice and didn't even mention Dice City.
We didn't mention Dice City. I've played it once because I was a little lukewarm on it. I need to try it again and take a look at it. I was thinking more of Roll for the Galaxy because I like Race for the Galaxy, but Roll for the Galaxy includes just a butt ton of dice you're rolling, which is always fun. But it also uses them in a different manner, and I really like that. Anyway, dice are a lot of fun, and to call back to the game of the episode, I'm looking forward to throwing dice again in PaleoVet and getting Dinosaurs. I just wanted to say that because I am actually excited about this game.
I am too.
This is one of those things where, as a listener, they're like, they got to play a game, didn't they? They're being overly positive. No, I'm just actually am excited to get this game.
Yeah, we really are, and we are not compensated for this. Like, this is just our opinion.
No, we were not
being paid.
We just got to play it. It wasn't a review copy, nothing like that.
We just got to play it and have fun with our friends. And I wish we could see them at a con this year, but unfortunately there's a plague. But I'm really glad we got to connect with them over the tabletop simulator, and they have a lot of patience with me and learning how to flip my cards. So thank you guys.
And I think we should go ahead and crack the beer before we get into the question and finish the episode out.
So this is another Portlandia beer. Delt's got the thrills for the pills. The chills for the pills.
If anyone has chills, it's you because you're cold all the time.
The bills for the pills because you paid for it.
That's a point. Paid for your outfit and the electric bill. So the second beer, what?
What are you talking about?
I'm paying for the outfit to keep you warm, and I'm paying the electric bill to keep it cold.
Well,
that's what I meant.
Okay.
Yeah. So the bill today, right now, this moment is from Freem, Pfreiem, Freem from Hood River, Oregon. It is their Pilsner.
It's got a little bear with a hat on it.
It looks like Smokey the Bear. It's simply called Pilsner, and it says, prepare thyself for fresh scents of flowers and tart lemon zest with a touch of honey and a crisp, spicy finish. 4.9 alcohol by volume. Will you please place that over there?
That sounds fantastic. Good choice there, Delty Poo. Reminds me, I can't wait to talk about a beer that we're going to bring in a later episode.
In October.
Stay tuned.
Spooky. All right, so this Pilsner you can see through it very well. It's a yellow tinted super clear. It smells very light.
Smells like lemon honey.
I do get the lemon zest.
But it smells really sweet.
That is very sweet, but also light.
Wow.
I don't get too much spice on the back, but a little bit.
Like was it cardamom aftertaste?
Maybe a little bit, yeah. Or coriander, maybe.
Coriander.
Something. Coriander's used a lot in like Belgian beers, and I don't know how Pilsners play into that. It's really like quite tame, super light, but it's also kind of fluffy.
It tastes more sharp than fluffy to me.
Sharp on the back end, fluffy on the front. When you first put it in your mouth,
that's what she said.
The carbonation is really nice, but once you swallow, that's when I get the little bit more sharp crispness. But that's really good.
It definitely leaves the feeling in your mouth, though, after you bite a lemon. We feel like you have this like sour film.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
A little bit of that like leave behind.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good though. Like it's a solid summer beer, I think. Nice and light and crisp. Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I just like all the Portland beers, but they have good breweries up there. It's like here. I like a lot of Oklahoma beers.
We're rivaling Portland now, my friends.
We're trying to. With the beer cracked, let's move into the question.
And now, join us for a Malthaus Games podcast special, Pint-sized question.
So the question for today is very simple. What's your favorite dinosaur?
You go first.
My favorite dinosaur has... I kind of want to Google it when you hand me my phone because I'm old now and I haven't talked about what my favorite dinosaur is in so long.
That's really sad.
No, it's not. Maybe a little bit. I just want to know. I think that this is still it. I'm going to spell it and see if it is. No, it's not. It's not the Stegosaurus. Oh no. Okay. Finding it. Getting there. This guy. Ankylosaurus.
Ankylosaurus.
The one that has like a rock for a tail.
Yeah, boy.
And it just bashes people and it's all spiky.
Is that the one that has a brain in its tail, too?
I don't think so, but it looks like an armadillo if it was a dinosaur.
That's what's up.
I've always liked the Ankylosaurus. I always like the Stegosaurus too, but I've always liked the Ankylosaurus because I just like something about having like a hammer for a tail where they're just like, don't mess with me, rah, and then they're done.
It's very empowering.
And then they go eat some veggies. What about your favorite dinosaur?
A chicken.
What about your actual favorite dinosaur, not descendants of dinosaurs in today's time?
Chickens are dinosaurs.
No, they're descendants on dinosaurs. Of dinosaurs, not on. Do you want like the what is it, Archaeopteryx or whatever, the little bird-like dinos that look like a little mixture of raptors with bird wings, feathers?
No. I want a velociraptor.
There you go.
Because I had a dream I was a velociraptor once, and that was a wild experience.
How? Why? What is wrong with your brain?
It was a magical dream. Like I had a dream I was a velociraptor, and I was like flying through some like volcanoes and stuff. It was pretty exhilarating.
Did you eat
Not gonna
people?
lie. No, I just like floating. I was a very peaceful velociraptor.
It's weird.
I think if I was a velociraptor in my past life, I had a pretty good one.
I mean, that's basically a chicken. A very mean chicken, but a chicken.
Very mean chicken. So
they do have large talons.
They do.
Yep.
So this is full circle.
Yep.
Chicken.
All right, fine. You can have velociraptor or some kind of raptor. I won't let you have chicken, though. A chicken is just a, I don't know, bird.
I get that with kids. Like, so I'm in one of those professions where about half my clients do want to know what my favorite dinosaur is, which is great. And you tell kids my favorite dinosaur is a chicken, and they lose their goddamn marbles. It's not a dinosaur. Yes, it is. And it's just one of the highlights of my job. I'll keep doing this forever. I get to make kids laugh by saying my favorite dinosaur is a chicken.
I mean, that works. At least you get to have fun, right?
I do.
You get to have fun, which is good. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up the episode here. We did our Kickstarter shout-out. Our Patreon shout-outs. We talked about the game PaleoVet. We talked about the topic of dice. We did the question of favorite dinosaur.
We talked about our amazing time in Portland, America with our friends.
Such a great time in Portland. And we got to talk about that. We got to have beer.
By the way,
it feels like we've recorded it feels like it's been forever.
Did you do anything in your wallet?
I did one.
What did you do?
I borrowed something from a player 3 times when I borrowed your pen during the new Welcome to 3 times.
So which ones didn't you do?
All the other 5.
Well, what were they?
I don't remember at this point. I had one that was put it in a book and laugh out loud until somebody comes and looks at it, which is hard to do. Like, I'm never gonna, if someone's looking at a book laughing, I'm not gonna just walk over and see what they're laughing at. That feels weird. So I didn't do that one. I don't remember them all. They were hard, which is why I didn't even attempt any of them. I just did the one that was easy, which is borrow something, but it was like all of them needed me to do something that I was like, that's not going to work. That's not going to work.
I see, like, for me, like, we went to Pal's Books the first day, and I picked up Carrie Fisher's biography, and I read it while I was over at their house.
Yeah.
And it literally made me laugh out loud.
Yeah, true.
Oh, yeah, you were sitting out there for some of it, too. Like, some of it, I was sitting outside. I just had to put the book down and just laugh. I just laughed. So.
You could have pulled it off. I couldn't have pulled it off.
This is my kind of game.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a fun game for any kind of parties. It's from Big Potato Games.
You're a big potato.
Thank you. But yes, I'm trying to think of if we're missing anything.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Keep an eye out for PaleoVet on Kickstarter from Absurdist Productions on September 28th for the launch. If you find them on social media, you can find the link to sign up for the Notify Me When It Launches thing, because we want this game to get off the ground and going. First 24 hours is critical for a Kickstarter, so we would love to see it fund in the first day. That would be awesome, for sure. But keep an eye out for that. I guess just keep an eye on social media stuffs for anything we post. If you want to send us a question to answer on the episode, a topic to cover, anything like that, you can always send us an email, contact@malthausgames.com. You can also send us a message on social media at Malthaus Games. You can find me personally at Delton Brack, DeltonBrack. You can find Haley at
SQUIRRELYGEEK.
that is at Squirrely Geek. Like, share, subscribe, review us on iTunes. I can't think
You're
of anything
sleepy
else.
today.
I'm very sleepy because I was
Plane
trying to take a nap and Steve kept waking me up.
Our plane got in at 2 a.m. yesterday too, so
It was a little after 1. We didn't get to bed till after 2. Then I had to work all yesterday, and then I had to work all today, and today was very busy. So, yay, sleepy.
So if we've missed anything, please call us out on social media.
Oh, for sure. I probably messed some stuff up all throughout here, but that's okay because it's our podcast. We do what we want. Yay.
We're grown.
Thank you again for tuning in to the Malthaus Games Podcast, episode 99, which means the next episode is episode 100, where we're going to have the number 1 fan, Allison, on the podcast, as long as we can get everything scheduled nicely, which I believe we're going to be very easily. I don't know exactly what we're doing on the episode. It might just be a goofy episode of random things, but we'll get that figured out, and you'll have to tune in next time for episode 100, which is a weird thing to say. We're moving into triple digits now.
I cannot believe it.
It's so strange to be doing it for this long, but here we are.
Enjoying every minute of it.
Exactly. So until next time, sit back, relax, grab a drink, and play some games. We'll see you folks later.
Goodbye.
Bye.